Imagine this. You scrub the floors until they shine. You wipe every tile in the bathroom. You polish the stove until it reflects the light. You take dozens of photos, angle after angle, making sure nothing is left undocumented. You think to yourself, I'm leaving this place spotless. They'll have no excuse. A week passes, then two. Instead of your $2,000 deposit, the only message you get is a cold letter. Deposit withheld due to damages. Scratches on the floor, stains on the carpet, broken cabinet. Emily froze as she read it. Her heart pounded, her stomach twisted. $2,000 was not just a number on paper. It was months of sweat, aching feet, late nights waiting tables while her classmates were out enjoying their summer. Every shift she had told herself, this is for my independence, for my first place. That deposit wasn't just money. It was proof that she could stand on her own. She was 22, a college student in Brooklyn, and the small studio near campus had been her very first apartment without her parents. It wasn't glamorous, just a single room, a tiny bathroom, a kitchenette with an old stove, but it was hers. She had decorated it with string lights, stacked her textbooks in the corner, even grown a plant on the windowsill. Moving in had felt like a milestone, and moving out was supposed to be the next step forward. The week before leaving, Emily had cleaned like never before. She stayed up late scrubbing, then woke up early to mop again. She vacuumed the carpet 3 times, pulled the refrigerator out to wipe behind it, and even polished the baseboards. If I return this place cleaner than when I got it, there's no way he can complain, she told her friend Lisa, who had come over to help pack boxes. Lisa laughed at how meticulous she was, but Emily insisted. I need every dollar back. No mistakes. Before locking the door for the last time, Emily walked through the apartment with her phone, snapping pictures. Dozens of them. The shining floorboards, the cabinet doors intact, the carpet with no stains. She paused at the window, took a photo of the sunlight streaming into the empty room, and whispered, goodbye. When she met her landlord, Mr. James, a man in his 60s with a perpetually furrowed brow, she braced herself for a long inspection. But he barely looked around. He stood in the doorway, glanced once at the room and muttered, fine. Then he took the keys and left. Emily was stunned by how quick it was. She let out a shaky laugh, texted her parents. It's over. Deposit should be back soon. Relief washed over her, and for the first time in weeks she felt light. But the relief didn't last. 1 week passed silence. She emailed politely, hi, just checking about the deposit. No reply. Another week passed and then came the letter. Cold printed words on a stark page. She read it again and again, her throat tightening. Scratches. Stains. Broken cabinet. She could see the photos in her phone, proof that everything was fine. Proof that those words were lies. Lisa sat beside her on the bed, scrolling through the photos. Look at this. Floors shining. Carpet clean. This is a scam, she said, shaking her head. Emily stared at the letter, her hands trembling. Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. He thinks I won't fight, she whispered. He thinks I'll just walk away. That night she couldn't sleep. She replayed every shift at the cafe, every tray of drinks she had carried to earn that $2,000. She thought about the nights she had gone home with sore feet, whispering, it'll be worth it when I move out on my own. And now a single letter threatened to erase all of it. The next morning she sat at her desk, staring at her laptop. She drafted an email. I have photographs from the move-out day. The apartment was spotless. I demand the return of my $2,000 deposit. She sent it, heart hammering, and waited. Hours passed. Days. Nothing. Finally, another letter arrived, this time on a page with the heading Law Office. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. Just one short paragraph. Deposit withheld. If you disagree, you may take the matter to court. Emily's chest tightened. She felt small, powerless. A college student staring down a landlord who could afford lawyers. But then she looked at her phone again, scrolling through the photos she had taken. Every corner of that apartment gleamed. The truth was on her side. Late that night, while searching for advice online, she stumbled on an article about small claims court. Her eyes widened as she read. No lawyer required. Designed for ordinary people. Evidence decides the case. She sat back in her chair, stunned. For the first time in weeks, a spark of hope lit inside her. Why should I give up, she thought. I have proof. I have the truth. If he thinks I'll stay silent, he's wrong. Her hands trembled as she opened the court's website. She filled out the online form. Plaintiff, Emily J. Defendant, James R. Claim $2,000. When she pressed submit, her heart raced. It felt like stepping off a cliff and learning she could fly. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about her dignity. About proving that even an ordinary student had the right to fight back. The hearing day arrived like a storm Emily couldn't avoid. She woke before sunrise, barely able to eat, her stomach tied in knots. She dressed carefully, choosing her plainest black skirt and white blouse, hoping to look serious, professional, not just a nervous student. The courthouse was smaller than she imagined, almost shabby. The wooden benches creaked, the fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, and a faint smell of dust and old paper lingered in the air. To Emily, it still felt overwhelming. She sat clutching her folder, the photos printed out neatly in order, each labeled with the date and time. She whispered to herself again and again, "You have the truth. You have the proof. You can do this." Mr. James arrived just before the session began. He walked in wearing a gray suit, a heavy leather folder tucked under his arm. He spotted Emily immediately. His lips curled into a smug little smile, the kind that said, "This will be easy." He took a seat with a confident thud, spreading out his papers as if he were already the winner. The clerk called out, "Case of Emily J. versus James R. Claim for $2,000. Emily's heart pounded so hard she thought the whole room could hear it. She stood slowly, her legs trembling. The judge, a woman in her late 50s with sharp eyes behind rectangular glasses, nodded calmly and invited the landlord to speak first. James rose smoothly, clearing his throat. "Your Honor, the apartment this young woman left behind was in unacceptable condition. Scratches on the hardwood floors, carpet stains, a broken cabinet door. I had no choice but to spend her deposit, every cent of it, on repairs." He pulled out a single sheet of paper and slid it forward. "Here's the invoice." The judge lifted the page, her brow furrowing. It was typed but bare. No letterhead, no signature, no stamp. Just a few lines and the number, $2,000. "Mr. James," she said evenly, "do you have photographs of the damages you describe?" James shifted. "No, Your Honor. But I saw them with my own eyes. The apartment was a mess." The judge's eyebrow arched, but she said nothing. Instead, she turned her gaze to Emily. "Miss J. Your response?" Emily's throat tightened, but she forced herself to speak. "Your Honor, that's not true. The apartment was spotless when I left. And I have proof." Her hands shook as she walked to the desk, laying down a stack of photographs. Gleaming floors. Clean carpet. Cabinet doors intact. She had labeled each with the date and timestamp printed from her phone. The judge picked up one of the photos, holding it close to her glasses. The silence stretched. Emily's knees felt weak. Then the judge looked up. "Mr. James, how do you explain these?" James laughed, a hollow sound. "She must have taken them before she damaged the place. Maybe weeks earlier." Emily straightened. Her voice, trembling at first, grew stronger. "No, Your Honor. These were taken the day I moved out. Here are the metadata printouts, date, time, even GPS location." She slid another sheet forward. The judge studied the document, then fixed her sharp eyes on James. "Do you have evidence these photos are false?" James faltered. I can't prove that, but do you have a signed contract with a repair company? Receipts for the alleged work?" James cleared his throat, his confidence cracking. "I only have this invoice." He held out the same flimsy paper again. From the benches, a few murmurs rippled. People were listening now. Two women waiting for their own cases shook their heads, whispering to each other. Emily felt something shift inside her. The fear that had clung to her for weeks loosened, replaced by a surge of determination. She spoke louder, her voice steady now. "Your Honor, I'm a student. This deposit was everything I had. I'm not asking for extra, just what belongs to me. And I did everything right. I cleaned, I photographed, I documented. I shouldn't lose $2,000 because someone thinks I won't fight back. The judge nodded slowly. The court accepts the photographs and metadata as valid evidence. James paled. The smug look had drained from his face. His shoulders sagged as if the weight of the room had suddenly shifted onto him. Desperation made him lash out. Your Honor, I've been a landlord for 30 years. I know when a tenant has caused damage. The judge's tone sharpened. Experience does not replace evidence, Mr. James. And evidence is precisely what you lack. The words landed like a gavel. Even without a verdict, Emily felt a jolt of vindication. The session continued for another 20 minutes. The judge asked questions and Emily answered carefully, pointing to her photos, repeating the timeline. She forced herself to breathe slowly, to stand tall, to hold her ground. Each answer strengthened her, made her believe more firmly. I belong here. I'm not powerless. Finally, the judge set her papers down. The court will recess. A decision will be delivered tomorrow. Emily sank back into her seat, her hands numb. For the first time since this battle began, she allowed herself a small smile. No matter what came next, she had faced him. She hadn't run. And that alone felt like a victory. The next morning Emily woke before her alarm. The courthouse portal showed a new message. Decision filed. Her finger hovered, then tapped. The court rules for the plaintiff. The landlord shall return $2,000 in court costs. Photographs and metadata credited. Landlord's invoice rejected. She read it again and again. Relief cracked through her chest like sunlight after days of rain. She didn't cheer. She just really breathed for the first time in weeks. She texted a screenshot to her parents and to Lisa. Replies pinged back. Proud of you. You did it. James tried to stall with a curt email. Processing. But the judgment wasn't a suggestion. Emily filed the enforcement form the clerk's page linked to, followed the steps line by line, and kept every receipt. A few days later, her banking app flashed a green banner she'd been dreaming about. Plus $2,000. 00. She laughed, a small disbelieving sound, then cried anyway. Campus felt different that evening. The same cracked sidewalk, the same vending machine humming by the library doors, but she wasn't the same girl who'd walked those steps 2 months earlier. She didn't buy the laptop that night. She and Lisa split a cheap takeout dinner on the dorm steps and Emily said, Not yet. I'm going to let the wind sit. She tucked most of the money into savings for the next deposit and printed one more copy of the judgment for herself. If you're watching this and you've ever left a place spotless only to be told you damaged it, hear this. You are not powerless. Take photos on move-out day, wide shots and close-ups. Save timestamps and metadata. Email the landlord in writing. Keep copies. If they stonewall you with vague repairs, ask for receipts and signed work orders. And if they bluff with letterhead and no facts, remember what this court reminded Emily. Experience doesn't replace evidence. Was she lucky? Maybe. But luck favors the prepared. Her preparation turned a frightening fight into a winnable one. Now tell me in the comments. What would you have done in Emily's shoes? Would you have walked away to avoid the stress? Or pushed back with your own proof? Have you ever lost a deposit and got it back? Share how you did it. Your checklist might become someone else's lifeline tomorrow. Emily closed her laptop and stood by the window. City noise drifted up. Buses sighing, a siren somewhere. A burst of laughter from the street. She wasn't richer than before. Just restored. But restoration matters. It says the hours you spent scrubbing a floor and the months you spent saving are worth something. It says your voice, even against someone louder, can carry. She slipped the judgment into a folder labeled Keep. Then she turned off the light and this time slept.